Hello, Scorpio Sun and Moon. Welcome to your 2022 yearly reading. Today we're going to break down your 2022 and see what it has in store for you. This is a reading I ended up doing for myself around my birthday just to kind of get a theme of what my next year was going to be like, get an idea for how the year was going to progress. So that's what gave me the idea for this one. So how this will work is we're going to get an Archetypes card from the Archetypes deck here to get that big theme, that big picture for 2022. And then we'll break down your year into 4 different quarters and get a tarot card for each of those quarters, and then we'll clarify with an animal spirit deck card. So I also call this reading the Kim Krans reading here because all these cards come from the Wild Unknown made by Kim Krans. So Wild Unknown reading, Kim Krans reading. But let us get started here and get your archetype card. Okay. Archetypes deck, please give me the theme for Scorpio okay, thank you. No hesitation now, the shaman. Very interesting. Okay. So, Scorpio, a lot of mystical energy already, right? Coming through for the shaman card. So Scorpio, for your 2022, you're kind of diving into some big, deep spiritual energy. It feels like, right? So our shaman, you think it's that mystic, it's that medicine person, woman or man, that tribal elder, that big like teacher, practitioner, somebody who has a lot of big spiritual knowledge, right? Our shaman works with the different elements and light and dark and has to really work on themselves through the process. A lot of diligent study and focus and education in order to handle these energies, typical of the shaman, right? So those deeper medicines, that deeper healing, those sacred ceremonies, right, have to have lots of diligent study and practice by the shaman in order to do it properly. And also the shaman has to really have a solid control over themselves in order to handle these big energies too, right? So going through a lot of deep healing and constant healing at that, right? We constantly get wounds as we're working through our lives here on earth. So working on those wounds, healing them as we're going, making sure they know their light side and their shadow side at the same time, those shadow aspects of ourselves, so that way they do not become weaknesses, do not become detrimental to the shaman's practice, right? Because with those working of energies, those otherly world energies, for like astral travel, right? Energy healing, that takes a lot of energy. And if we don't take care of ourselves through making sure we know our shadow sides and healing ourselves, we can easily get overwhelmed in the shaman energy here, right? So the shaman brings all that bigger energy, that spiritual energy into everyday life, making the mundane spiritual and exciting and extraordinary, because the shaman, being prime in the energy, right, and that like ideal, typical, archetypical energy is living every moment at a highly spiritual level, being aware of being a spiritual being in a human mundane body at the same time, right? So very big energy for you, Scorpio, for your 2022 here. So let us get your first quarter energy here and see how this progresses for you through the year. So we'll grab our tarot here, get our first quarter. Okay, Wild Unknown, please give me the first quarter card for Scorpio for 2022. One card, please. One card, please. First quarter card for Scorpio for 2022. Thank you. Father of Pentacles. Okay, now we'll get our clarifying card with the Animal Spirit deck. Okay, Animal Spirit deck, please clarify the Father of Pentacles for Scorpio's first quarter. Okay, thank you. Camel. I have not seen the camel come out before. This will be exciting to read about. Read through and see. Okay, so Camel and the Father of Pentacles here. So Scorpio, for you in your first quarter here, there's a lot of steady energy. We are pretty steady moving into 2022 with our Father of Pentacles energy, right? Pentacles representing our material wealth, our material reality, and the Father being the strong masculine figure in that energy, right? So, very stable father figure with family and structure and stability, right? Backed up, clarified by the camel energy here. Camel being an energy that knows itself really well, that is very sturdy in harsh environments, right? That camel in the desert, being able to store water in its body, keeping itself calm through very, very difficult situations, difficult terrain, a difficult environment. So, in this case, difficult situations, right? So, coming back into the shaman energy of really knowing yourself, really knowing who you are at the core, being steady and strong in that with this Father of Pentacles, and being able to quell whatever situation with the water, the emotions and depths inside of yourself, right? And knowing who you are and being able to handle whatever comes your way, handling difficult situations, difficult emotions, difficult people. That camel energy comes into that, right? So you being very, very steady and knowing who you are as you go. And not a surprise for you, Scorpio, too, right? For being always in very deep in your emotions. And that deep water energy, right? So, you being a water element with Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, being very heavy in those emotions. And you've worked hard to know yourself and be very steady in your emotional state, steady in your emotions and how you handle situations here. So good start to our 2022 here. So just making sure you're established and staying in this energy, right? Nothing's happening here. But you know who you are, and that's a great start as you're working in the shaman energy here. So let's move into our second quarter here. So, Wild Unknown, please give me the second quarter card for Scorpio for 2022. Just one came out. Son of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting. So we've got the father and son, but counterposing a little bit here. Okay, please clarify the Son of Pentacles in reverse, please, for second quarter of Scorpio's 2022. One card, please. One card, please. Hummingbird. So Scorpio, as you come into your second quarter here, so we definitely see our father here and son of the same suit, and we see the lack of growth of horns in the sun in comparison to our father right here, and also this card being in reverse. So with the father being here and present and the positive, I would take the Son of Pentacles a little bit more negatively here with its shadow aspects. However, it's clarified by our very bright and colorful and rainbow-esque hummingbird down here, which changes up our meaning here, changes up, again, why we have this clarification here, right? So it feels like we are, as we're in this new discovery process, right, this big shaman energy, this big spiritual energy, and figuring out these bigger spiritual gifts and abilities and energies and traveling, right, into other realms, kind of that travel camel energy, right, for astral travel maybe. The hummingbird, highly spiritual animal, and receiving nourishment from the universe in a very highly spiritual way. Knowing where to go for that nourishment, knowing how to take care of itself, because hummingbirds need a lot of nutrients in order to maintain, right? But with where it clarifies the Son of Pentacles for me here is the butting heads a little bit with others now. So we are in this big spiritual energy, right? We're figuring out these big picture things. We've learned a lot. We're growing. We figured out these things, and now we're kind of butting heads with others as we're trying to discuss these things and change our circumstances and move forward in a new, authentic and aware way that has more awareness, okay? So we started in this big energy, right? Because we're like, oh wow, we're here, we're doing these things, we're learning all these big things. We feel amazing at it. And then we're trying to incorporate it into our life here, right? We're trying to incorporate that everything into the mundane, into our daily existence. And that's when we end up kind of butting heads with other people that don't understand us, don't get what we're doing. And we try to explain, but they are not in the same awareness and level of understanding that we are. So it's harder to move forward and progress with this energy for the Son of Pentacles, right? So you think of young male deer and antelope and other animals in this kind of same family here, butting heads to establish that dominance, right? For who gets access to all these things. So you might even be butting heads with others in that same kind of spiritual realm, others that are considered your peers, or you think are like-minded like you, right? For where to receive this nutrients that the hummingbird talks about, where to receive this nutrients, gather it, be as spiritual as possible for this big shaman energy here. Let's see if there's anything else. That's also kind of where your stubbornness is coming out here too, Scorpio, right? So Scorpio, while not an earth sign, is definitely a very stubborn sign in my personal opinion for others Scorpios I've interacted with in my family. Probably has to do with your quadruplicity would be my guess off the top of my head. But I don't know. I want to say Scorpio is a fixed or cardinal. I can't quite remember. But yeah, so there's a lot of stubborn energy here, right? With you thinking you know the right way, and honestly, it feels like you do, right? Again, that's that highly spiritual shaman energy. But people, there's only a select few people who can be this kind of shaman energy, this teacher energy, and have the capabilities that you have. So but others automatically others are not going to understand and think you're wrong for it. You know you're right, but others are going to think you're wrong. So you're going to end up butting heads a little bit here. It feels like in the second quarter with this spiritual journey you are on, but that's okay. Just keep that in mind and don't waste your energy. Don't waste your time trying to explain to people that are never going to understand anyway or don't want to understand. It won't serve you in any capacity. You just got to keep focused on getting your nutrients from where you know it has worked before, where you are going, and what makes sense to you. But let us move forward. Let us get into our third quarter here and see how this progresses. Okay, Wild Unknown, please give me the third quarter card for Scorpio for 2022. Only one, please. One card, please. One card, please. Thank you. 10 of Wands. Okay, clarification please on the 10 of Wands for Scorpio's third quarter here. Oh, fell on me. Thank you, the fish. Okay. So Scorpios, we're moving into your second half of 2022 here. We're definitely hitting some blockages. We're kind of struggling a little bit here. Keep in mind, so you do have free will in your situation. You do have the ability to make other choices, and with developing awareness, anything I talk about here is just the energy I'm feeling currently at the time. Currently, from what I'm seeing, you have the ability to change it and make it better, make it less intense. It might still happen, but it might not be to the extreme or as intense as what I'm describing with the cards here. So just keep that in mind, because our 10 of Wands here is a very heavy energy. It's a very burdened energy. Over exhaustion. We feel like we're kind of running into roadblocks, hitting our head against a wall we can't move past, right? And our fish is very listless and kind of lost in the currents, doesn't quite know where to go, and lost in movement and kind of swimming around. And if it's trying to swim up river too much, I can get exhausted too at the same time, right? So this is that shadow side that the shaman card was asking you to work on, right? So again, we have to keep developing awareness and keep moving, progressing and growing. We do that by integrating the shadow side, right? So we feel this both of these feel very in the shadow, right? There's a little bit of color and energy in the fish here with this crescent moon, but both of these cards have a lot of darkness in them, a lot of shadow. And keep it in comparison here, right? So our moon is flipped in comparison to our camel at the beginning of the year, but our camel is also surrounded by darkness. But the camel knows who they are and what they're doing with their life, and what their goals are and what they're trying to accomplish, and know who they are inside, right? The fish, not so much. The fish is, again, getting lost in that current and that flow of life and swimming around aimlessly, and being burdened and running into all these sticks here, right? All these wands. I'm seeing them in my mind's eye piled up in the river, right? And the fish is trying to maneuver and swim around them as it's trying to find its place to be in the river. Maybe trying to get to a new lake or something like that, right? As it's traveling. So again, it's not... This isn't like the end of the world or anything, right? You have a lot of spiritual, highly spiritual energy here, and this is part of the process of the shaman energy or theme here, right? Again, talking about that deep internal healing, that deep process of working with your shadows, making your shadows become a strength, and constantly making up for your weaknesses, right? So we're coming into this point where it's like, okay, we're observing and seeing the weaknesses we have in our life, where we block ourselves, where we get off course, where we get off track in our lives, and feel like we're wandering around aimlessly here. So this is part of your growth process, part of your discovery process. Come back into this hummingbird energy and reconfigure where you are getting your nutrients from. And making sure not to butt heads too much here, right? This is how we kind of also get in that energy. If we're constantly butting heads with other people, of course we're going to feel very burdened. We're going to feel like we're banging our head against a wall, right? Because we're constantly arguing with others. And again, that's what I was talking about, right? For not wasting our energy. That's a way to help kind of mitigate this energy as you move through into this third quarter. This is our January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, this summer energy here. If we don't waste our energy, don't waste our time arguing with people that aren't going to understand anyway, we don't end up burdening ourselves with these wands here, or at least not as many. Maybe we don't end up with our full 10 full burden, we end up with 7 or 8 or something like that, and then we are in different energy here. So just something to keep in mind, right? So still a lot of internal beauty with the fish, right? So we see that crescent moon here. There's still a lot of potential, but we just got to acknowledge and work through these shadows in our big shaman energy and heal them, so that way we can keep progressing and moving forward and realizing things, building our awareness in our situations here, building awareness in the second quarter so we don't run into as much of a problem here in our third quarter, or we do just hit this roadblock here, right? So then we have to re-strategize, reconfigure, rebalance, maneuver, and course correct, so we can progress better into our fourth quarter and the end of 2022 here. But let us get into our last quarter here and see what the year finishes out for you for Scorpio. Let's see. Tarot, please give me... Thank you. That was really, really fast. I love when it does that. Okay, good. Some forward progress here. Okay, please give me the clarifying card for the Chariot for Scorpio for 2022 last quarter. One card, please. One card, please. Clarification on the Chariot, please. One card. Nope, one card. They are being kind of willy right now. Okay. Okay. One card, please. Clarification on the Chariot for Scorpio for last quarter of 2022. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. So Scorpio off the bat here, right? So we're lots of darkness, lots of shadow here in this third quarter, and then a lot more light energy as we move into our last quarter here, October, November, December of 2022. So you have your chariot here, and then clarified by the lion. So our chariot is that forward moving energy, right? It is the controlling of the positive and negatives in ourselves, that light and shadow. The Rider-Waite imagery, the original Rider-Waite, has a figure standing on that old school kind of Greek Roman chariot, pulled by two sphinxes. One is black and one is white, representing that duality, that polarity in ourselves, that light and shadow from the shaman energy that we're talking about here, right? So that controlled forward movement and momentum, discipline over ourselves and over our abilities and our light and our shadow. So the lion here is great to see as well, because the lion does not waste energy, right? So that was the concern I was talking about earlier on in your year here, Scorpio. The lion, we've come into this knowledge and awareness because the lion does not waste its energy. The lion is precise, it is determined, and it attacks with precision. So it knows what it's doing in its situation and talks about the self-mastery process that you look like you've been going through this whole year, right? So, and again, coming back to the shaman energy, your theme of 2022, for recognizing your light and your dark, recognizing the places you need to heal yourself, where you end up blocking yourself, right? In this Ten of Wands energy, where you end up butting heads with others, where you need to go for spiritual fulfillment, where you get lost along the way. But coming into the end here with lots of focused energy, determined energy, acting with precision, acting with a higher knowledge here, right? So our chariot, riding our horse, moving forward very deliberately in our lives, in our physical reality, with this self-mastery, talking about the lion, right? So the camel knows who it is and knows what it's doing and the choices it's making, but in comparison to the lion is mastered itself. The lion knows exactly who it is, knows what it's going to do in every situation. Highly spiritual transformation card, spiritual knowledge coming through in the lion. So it's the progression here is really, really cool to see for you here, Scorpio, especially with the shaman as your overarching theme of 2022. So we're very steady, right? We have a solid idea of who we are. Then we start butting heads, and we're getting our we're into the spiritual, and we're feeding ourselves with it, but we're also butting heads with others as we're learning, kind of going into our shadow side here for where we block ourselves, where we get lost along the way, and coming out of it into a very strong, forward moving energy, lots of determination, self-mastery, lots of strong magic. So if I were to describe, this would be a perfect shaman person, right? So somebody who has a deep awareness of who they are, can move forward deliberately with discipline and determination, and lots of strong energy here into our shaman. So keep in mind as you move through Scorpio in 2022 and beyond, that the shaman is going to be a constant process for you, right? So if you have shaman energy in your life and are called to those shamanistic elements and magical aspects, it's going to be a lifelong journey. I know, because I'm kind of on it myself as well, but where there's always more things to learn, always more things to educate yourself on. So I've went through this big journey of self-discovery and figured myself out, and reconfigured myself and recombined myself and re-emerged, right? And then I'm on to the next thing, next big highly spiritual aspect of ancestral work. So it's a constant process. You get breaks in between, but it's the journey of a shaman is lifelong learning, lifelong discipline and growth, and working, healing and shadow work and light work, and everything in between at the same time, right? Bringing that divinity into the mundane, bringing that divinity, that spirituality into everyday life. So you go through a really, really solid process here in 2022, Scorpio. A lot of growth comes from it, and a lot of learning and knowledge, right? You learn best by doing. But keep it. You're gonna be keeping it up, and I can just feel it as you progress through 2022 into the next years and beyond. That you'll see this process probably repeat in your life a couple times. At least a couple, two or two or more, most likely more. So build that awareness. Make sure you are taking note of it, right? Mentally, at the very least. I like to journal personally, but take note of this pattern in your life, and watch as it repeats, because then you'll be able to go through it faster, move through it faster, and teach yourself faster as you go through your shaman journey here, okay? But Scorpio, it's going to be a very interesting 2022 for you. Let me know in the comments down below as you work through the year. Feel free to come back to this video and comment and let me know how this year progresses for you, what the energy feels like as you work through each of those quarters of the year. I'd be very curious to see how it pans out for you. But Scorpio, I hope you have a wonderful 2022. That's all I have for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. That'd be very helpful for me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.